So I guess that's where, to what Marcus was saying, is like a fundamental difference in beliefs when it comes to Muslims who practice polygamy and Christians. Because when you look at countries like Nigeria, for example, it's still a predominantly Christian country that very fervently practices polygamy, right? In Islam, there's no concept of ownership over another human being. We all belong to God. So that sense of ownership of he is mine isn't allowed to exist because it directly contradicts that, like, no human being can belong to another human being. So that's kind of how those feelings are reconciled. It's more so, are you are you able to fulfill the rights of all of the women that you're taking on and the children that you will bear with them? So there's this saying where essentially it boils down to, like, if you can't handle more than one, then it's better to just choose one. So it's not for everybody, but for those of you who are equipped, it's a much greater responsibility, because not only do you have to fulfill the rights, but you have to do it in a way where it's not creating conflict.
Okay, did anybody else want to add to that? So I think Isaiah brought up something. He said, take religion out of it. I think that's the problem. I think y'all taking a religion out of everything. And that's why y'all everywhere. Out here sinning. You got kids out here bringing guns to school. The direction is everywhere because y'all took religion out of everything. No morals, no nothing. Just out here like little loose cannons, stray dogs. That's what you're doing. But thank you for bringing that up, so with that, we can discuss that. One of the, so when I had a conversation with somebody, and this guy in particular was saying that he is what he would call a primary mate. And please excuse my, let me close the door. I forgot. Every time my guy comes over here, we forget because we don't hear it. I don't hear it until I come into this room. Okay. So, he said that there's a such thing as a primary mate. And the problem is there aren't that many primary mates available these days. Meaning everybody is not equipped to be a leader in a household. Everybody's not, every man does not do well in commitments. They don't do great with commitments. That's commitments with their jobs. That's commitments with their relationships. They're just not good at committing to anything. And as we know, to take care of a household, you have to be a responsible party. And there are a lot of people who are just not responsible. And that's the reason why they move the way they move. So let's go back to the primary mate. So he says there are only a few people, kind of like what Inaz said, a few people who are primary mates. These are men who are willing to commit. They understand the sacrifice and the leadership role that takes place in a household, and they're okay with that. And so for me, kind of like what Inaz was saying, I think that and those are the men who can take on polygamy, if they're up to it, because they may be like, oh, one is enough, a polygamous relationship. Because majority of men, I can say this generation of men, majority are not primary mates, and they move as such. What do you guys' thoughts on that? That came from a man's mouth. It was just coming up through mine.
Can we address that he currently the AP and changed his name to Harrison? You called him AP at the beginning, so he changed his name. She can't see, so she wouldn't have seen it.
Listen, where my glasses at? Let me go get my I had them on. I don't know what happened to them. I gotta go get them. I'm gonna go get them when y'all start talking. Go ahead.
Low blow, Inaz. Low blow.
Sorry. You just had the cape on the way that he does. I say he looked like the Dark Kermit.
Oh,
y'all seen the meme with the Dark Kermit the Frog?
Yeah, crazy.
Now about to be the Dark AP.
Nah, so Because all right, so it's tricky in this society because to your point about the primary mate thing. So we live in from according to the like so a lot of the guys that I grew up with I play sports with, and I think they would be considered like the primary mates as far as that that spectrum of what those qualities would be. They would be considered leaders. They would be desirable by multiple women. They do fairly well to very, very well income wise. And socially they're regulated to the point where, it's not a lot of like the back and forth and yelling and screaming that you probably would see online, like between men and women. Right. Um the way society is currently set up for those men that would be considered the primary mate, it's set up so that they can just have sex with as many women as they want and put them back into the dating pool and continuously do that until all of these women make the men who wouldn't be considered primary mates feel as though they're ran through and they belong like that whole you belong to the streets. It's because they're dating those men and getting pushed back out into the dating field and constantly recycling that. And that's how you get these absorbent numbers of people being mad about body counts and those type of things. Um, one of the main reasons I agree with it because it's actually more responsible for women. It takes on more responsibility for women because if you are in those situations, it's really rare that that man is going to have the energy, time, or desire to go find new women while trying to appease what he has going on. So it's kind of like a protective measure. If done correctly and was legalized the right way, it's a protective measure for women to not one go through a life where they just get used and abused by the men that they actually want and then put back out here and they would be taken care of emotionally, physically, spiritually, right? Their kids wouldn't have to split time with, or this is your father for 50% of the year. This her father for 50% of the year. It just logically, it just makes sense for the benefit of the kid, the benefit of the family, and the benefit of the woman that the men she was saying is the primary mates would be in a position to be that for multiple people instead of just being a one night stand for multiple people continuously into the end of time.
And let me just clarify, because I understand that primary mate is not a real term. That's just something we brought up, kind of like high value man. We can use the word husband. We can
Right.
honestly say that there are not a lot of men who would probably be husband material. Just like there are a lot of women who are just not wife material right now. And that could be from your background, how you were raised, dysfunction in the household, toxicity. But we have to agree that the way people are moving does not show a good indication of great leadership. So even if you are on the streets and you're running through women, you are not being a great leader in the community. You are just, you're not. If you can discipline yourself, you are not a great husband, because all that's going to happen is you're going to cheat on your wife. Like, you can't be, your primary goal can't be always just sex, sex, sex. There are other things that come before sex, like your family, your wife, other things. So because if you move that way, please understand, I'm sorry. Just like if you're saying a woman is out in the street, she's a 304, she's not able to be a wife, you're not fit to be a husband. You're not.